I'm joined by the Emergency Management Director, Jared Hill, for the Pasco County Sheriff's Office. So overnight, we did not see a whole lot of movement. Again, in fact, we saw no movement on the edges, about 4 to 6 inches of decrease in the water level. We're still saying that it's 225 feet across, about 50 feet deep. Again, for clarification, how do we know it's 50 feet deep? It's because of the engineer's report on the home on the right that is destroyed. That engineer report back in, I believe it was 2016, maybe 2012, said that it was about 50 feet deep. What you see today, right now, is what you're going to see probably for about the next 24 to 36 hours. And that is just monitoring, looking at levels, looking at cracks about every 2 or 3 hours. 11 homes have been affected. So I want to clear up a couple of things. Yesterday there was some stations reporting 13 homes because they were counting 11 plus these two. These two destroyed homes are in the group of 11. So 11 homes affected. 2 of those 11 homes were destroyed. 9 homes have been tagged by the county building official as unsafe for entry. We have the Red Cross, excuse me, we have the Red Cross assisting those families and providing any needed needs that they have unmet at this point in time. As I said, 2 of these homes were destroyed. The addresses again are 21825 and 21835 Ocean Pines Drive. The last 25 is on the left, 35 is on the right. Those have been completely destroyed. Those residents, again, were clear. They did not sustain any injuries. Sheriff's Office and fire rescue individuals got people and things out of those homes before they succumbed to the sinkhole. Just as a recap, this did, and as I'm going to look in that direction, you see a boat. It's almost behind a palm tree right now, but that boat is almost ground zero exactly where the sinkhole started. So we were dispatched to a 6-foot depression underneath that boat yesterday, which ended up by, as you all know by now, about 3 p.m. or so, it ended up being 225 feet wide. Victims. So the victims or citizens who are in need of help can reach out to the Red Cross, and they should have a contact number for them already, the Salvation Army, or they can dial 211 for the United Way. There is a partnership between all 3 of these agencies, but specifically they can dial 211 for the United Way and ask for the United Way of Pasco County, and they will end up getting their information to us. They can also start calling Monday morning at 8 a.m. to the Pasco County Human Services Department at 727-847-2411. Repeating that again is 727-847-2411. Our hearts go out to the families here that have been devastated by this particular incident, and even those that have been displaced. So I want to assure our residents that, hey, the county's here, the Sheriff's Office is here to help you. We have our non-government organization and private entities that are already starting to call in. What do you need? What can we bring you? What can we help these families with? So please, please reach out to us if you are affected. And we do have phone numbers. We're going to continue to remain in contact with you. But again, if you have a need and you haven't been contacted by us in an hour or 2 hours, but you have a need now, give us a call. The teamwork, I can't say enough about it. There's, as the hours go on, I hear more stories about how, a deputy went in and helped get an elderly woman with in a walker out of this home here to my just behind me, and then how fire rescue crews actually saved the completely destroyed house behind me. They had a motorhome in front of that, and they knew that this house was probably going to be completely engulfed by this sinkhole, so the engine crew went back in, found keys, just a bunch of keys, came out, jumped in the motorhome, ran through the keys, found it, got just around the corner on the pavement there, and then the driveway where that motorhome was parked fell into the sinkhole. So these just extraordinary story after extraordinary story of the collaborative and cooperative teamwork between the Sheriff's Office and Fire Rescue very early on in this incident, and then the many other agencies that came on after it as we went through the evening hours. Last is, 2 things. No injuries, as I said, have been reported. And then Pasco County now is in a phase of coming from response, and our response is actually monitoring right now, moving to recovery. So the recovery portion of this is going to start involving the hazmat cleanup. And I say hazmat cleanup because there are chemicals in this water. There is septic tanks in this water. It's actually, in my opinion, and this is opinion only, not subject matter expertise at all, that it's probably a good thing that this sinkhole has actually been stopped up, because there's a lot of contaminants in this water. So it's going to allow us the opportunity to properly decontaminate the area, recover the water, get it out of harm's way, and then clear the debris out. So we're moving into that recovery mode, and this will become a hazmat incident, or it already is, and it will continue to stay a hazmat incident until we can get this thing completely decontaminated and emptied. And so to that point, the county will be sitting down or having a conference call with the affected insurance companies. There are all 3 homeowners that are affected. This individual here that's lost about 45 feet of their driveway and their septic tank, and then these homes over here all had insurance, which was a fantastic thing. We'll be working with those insurance companies along with the county to start the next remediation steps, mitigation steps, if you will, and getting this cleaned up. The cleanup's going to take weeks. To get the road back to where it's at and the lots back to normal, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to estimate that in the months. So we will have heavy equipment moving in at some point in time over the next week, maybe 2. I was asked a question earlier about when can we get the other residents back in their homes that are outside the fence. I'm going to wait on the state geologist to come back and some subject matter experts that I know that are going to be coming in today from the University of South Florida. I want to talk to them, get their opinions on that, make a informed decision, if you will. I will be the one that ends up making that decision in consult with the building official, in consult with geologists, specialists, and so on. But it's going to be my goal to get the folks in their homes as soon as we possibly can. The ones outside the perimeter, I think we're looking at maybe a few days. The ones inside the perimeter, I'm going to be honest with you, again, we're probably looking at a week or more, because when that heavy equipment comes in, it's going to be on this road. We don't want anything to go into the hole as we're doing the cleanup process. So again, bear with us. It's going to be weeks, months, but we will, again, working with Chase Daniels, the communications director, and Doug Tobin, the lead PIO for Pasco County, we will again update you routinely on what's going on here as we go into the recovery process that's going to take, again, weeks and months. With that being said, I'm not going to take any questions right now, but I am going to ask Jared Hill with the Pasco Sheriff's Office to come up and talk about the things that they're doing, from the waterways all the way to the traffic enforcement and security elements you're going to have in place over the next couple of weeks.
Good morning. Firstly, I want to thank the community for all the support to our deputies and our command posts out here. We've received a lot of good support. As I was driving up this morning, coming through the perimeter, I saw a lot of residents talking to our deputies, and they enjoy that, and we really appreciate all the support and the understanding of our perimeter and the safety aspects of that. If residents need any more information, or the community, Sheriff's Facebook page and our Twitter page, we're constantly updating that with information. You can go there. As far as our perimeter goes, we're going to keep it up until the county administrator or assistant administrator tells us we can bring it down. We're set up to continue this op for as long as we need to. As far as some of the things we're doing for the residents, yesterday evening, just before dark, the home behind you, we helped those residents move out of their home. They wanted to go in and get some of their precious items, so our deputies helped move them out. Right after this press conference, we're currently coordinating with the residents for the home that you see right behind me. They've asked to come in and get some of their items out of their home as well, so our deputies will be helping them move out, get whatever they want. It's a very catastrophic event, as you can tell. This resident was going to go on vacation today, and now that's changed. So right now they're just trying to get as much of their belongings out as they can, just to be able to move on with their life and then reschedule.
Right, so does anybody have any questions? I'm going to do this kind of systematically. I'm going to move them to my right, your left, and around through the rest of the crowd. So I see the Tampa Bay Times is here. Anything you have, any questions?
Not for now.
All right. Kelly, I'm sorry.
It's time to answer your question.
Yep.
Today, so.
Kelly Orr, the photog from 13.
Considering the history here of sinkhole activity, I know you said it'll take weeks and months to fill everything in.
All right, so the question was, based on what's happened here with that sinkhole activity in the past, will somebody be able to develop that property and put a house back on it? I think the short answer to that is, Kelly, yes, that is allowed. You know, the necessary declarations have to be made that this is a sinkhole property, this is a sinkhole repaired or unrepaired property, but there's a permitting process for that, there's an allowance for that, but again, it's one of those at your own risk to the property owner as to whether or not they want to rebuild that or not.
And then follow to that, will there be certain requirements as to the level of remediation? Because I understand that there were two options in the past. They took one option. Will they be required to take higher steps?
So, and again, the question was, to the level of remediation, does the county have anything to say about that? I'm in an area that I don't know a whole lot about. I would have to refer that, Kelly, to either our planning department or our building official. I will be more than happy to reach out and try to get those answers to those questions for you, but I can't really answer that based on my subject matter expertise. Back to the Times.
Yeah, you mentioned the next 24 to 36 hours. At what point, when it stops moving, from that point on, do you determine that it's actually stagnant?
That determination actually does not come from us. That determination comes from state geologists with the Department of Environmental Protection, other consults that they may bring in to determine when that's going to be. You know, I will tell you, based on the information we have, we know that for sure this is the largest sinkhole Pasco County's faced in the last 3 decades. There's others that have, sent me text messages and emails that we believe it's the largest now in maybe 5 or 6 decades, but again, that's unconfirmed. With it being the magnanimity that it is, DEP may say, we're going to wait another 24 hours, maybe this goes to 72, but again, they're the ones that will make those decisions. They're the ones that will tell us, okay, you can move forward now with the next steps.
Now, we can see that they had those rods that were driven in to kind of help support the foundation. And this may be a question for the geologist, but had the hole not grown to this size, would those have helped that home stay intact? Is it just a matter of the hole so big?
Right. Obviously, if this would have opened up 6, 8, 10 feet, then yeah, those pins would have done just fine. But I mean, when you get a hole that's 225 feet well outside, I mean, as you see there over my back and then down over here underneath that patio system, you see that it completely went away from those pins, not by a foot. We're talking tens of 20 feet away. So I personally, I'm not an expert, but when I see that, there's no way that would have ever helped the foundation of that house. Maricela? I'm sorry. Right, Isabel. What we have is again, we know that there's contaminants in the water. We know that there is we know for sure there's a car in there. We know that there's garage type materials in there. We know for sure that a drain fill of 1 septic tank and 2 entire drain fills and 2 entire septic tanks went into here. On average, emergency management estimates that households have about 5 to 10 gallons of natural household chemicals, which in some cases are hazardous materials, and actually in most cases are hazardous materials. So we know that we have contaminants in here. How much contamination we have, we do not know, but we're going to treat it as if the whole area is contaminated. We're going to do everything we can to ensure the proper remediation and mitigation of the hazardous material, and move on to where we do not do harm to the environment, and we do not do harm to, for instance, water tables or anything like that in the area. We're going to do everything we can to ensure that proper and complete cleanup is done of this at the homeowner level, at the county level, because the county owns the road, and so on. Yes, ma'am.
What if we get bad weather?
All right, so the question was, what if we get bad weather? From Bay News 9, that if we get bad weather at this point, I think we're going to have the normal associated signs and symptoms of erosion. You're going to see probably dirt along the edges start to almost even off, if you will. It'll actually cut it down, even it off. We may have a few more drop-ins, but you're going to see those natural signs of erosion along the edge. You should not see the dramatic pictures that we saw yesterday morning at 9:30, 10 o'clock, where you have 10, 20 feet of earth go into the system. So again, we're working on now coming up on hour number 17 of no activity, no foreseen activity. So we're pretty confident that as those hours continue to grow, that the rain is just going to be a minor situation. Yesterday the concern was, while it was still active, that if we dump an inch of rain or more in there, does it continue to become more active below the surface just from the added weight? So, anybody else? Channel 8, National Networks, all good? All right, folks. So here's the plan for the rest of the day, and I want to, so please listen to this. When we break down from here, there's a gentleman that has allowed some folks to park in his yard, and make sure you guys are not rolling for this because you don't want this on camera. They had his yard was trashed, and there's some ruts in his yard. So what he's asked is that the media trucks that are in his yard, and that was the older gentleman wearing the tan shirt when he left last night. I know you guys weren't here, but